AI makes me excited because, and this is probably really not good to say, I like that if I think about how a system should function, I can get AI to build it the way I'm thinking about it without having to go through the gatekeeping of a programmer and get it exactly how I want it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's always been kind of a thing, right? Is uh, creativity and programmers. Programmers are very creative, and creative people can learn how to code. But when they have to work together, it doesn't always jive, and
Well,
that'll hinder the output, right? So if you have an idea, you it's almost like you're free to be like we're all free to be our own. I'm just going to use it as an example. Our own Steve Jobs, our own Henry Ford, our own Sarah Blakely, whatever the case may be. We're free to be that visionary now, it feels like. Does it not?
well, you can, if you, I think I have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to using it the way to build because I was building the old way. So that's why I'm saying it's not really vibe coding. It's more like you know how the structure is supposed to work,
Yeah.
but when you instruct AI or a group of AI engines to put together a framework the way you want, it's not that I didn't like working with programmers on that. Really, I don't want to call it low level stuff, but the stuff that like early programmers can do, not high level engineers where you're looking at total architecture. That still requires human, as far as I'm concerned, that still requires human involvement, very much so, to
Okay.
bring something, a full architecture on something like an ERP. You still need experts in coding to make sure that you don't have brittle sections of the system. You have total security. You're not creating, duplicate functions, edge functions that are kind of contradicting, all that stuff. But the stuff that when you know how something is supposed to work, and I was the operator that knew how the flow was supposed to work, how collections would flow into the reports, would flow into the bank deposits, would flow into the annuals. And I knew the actual, like, I know the flow to get that put together the way that I know it has to work without having to teach someone else and then have them figure it out how to program it is it's empowering on a level. And then you sit there and look at it and you're saying, well, the utility that I find in AI, I can't even explain to someone unless they're coding with AI. I think AI is an amazing tool, but when I talk to someone who uses it on a very light level, you know, where they're fine, they don't know if it's agentic, they don't care. It's the utility I see in it is just immense. And I think that's why people that know that are saying, hey, the way Anthropic just released this, now you've got all these companies scrambling. If you know what they're talking about, you go, yeah, they should be scrambling.
So, yeah, I mean, without going too far in the weeds on a few things, one of the things that you're talking about, this workflow that you're talking about right now,
Yeah.
the knowledge you have and how you're passing it through to create, this product, right? This software or software as a service or the ERP. Um, it's interesting because, we do a lot of work within these systems. One of the systems we're working with right now is OpenClaw. On the back end of the setup of OpenClaw and kind of the ways and balances, you will, my partner in that, engineer by trade, you know, done very well for himself, sold a couple of his companies all in the tech space, very good engineer. He's handling that back end of OpenClaw for us on our machines. And then I'm the one that does the day to day on a lot of the businesses that we're doing. And so I'm teaching it, collaborating with it on the workflows that like what you talk about. And it feels like that's the new equivalent he's doing as a back end developer. And I'm a front end developer.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like all over again, because a lot of the same kind of just interactions we have are very much those conversations. It's just the human value that we bring to it is just evolved, right?
Yeah.
And it's when you really start getting in the weeds on this, it is, I mean, you get dopamine kicks, right?